Welcome to This Is Our Earth podcast. I am Sylvia Puentes, and I invite you to these amazing conversations that explore the wonder and magic of connecting with our beautiful planet. Inspired by El Lugar, the place, originally a book by Gary Douglas, and now being actualized on our earth as we speak. What can we each be that would create a sustainable living earth? So welcome everyone, and today's special guest, Monica Gilliam, a beautiful, beautiful being that I've known for a couple years. And just recently I got to hear her speak of what she knows about how it's almost this speaking to plants, receiving from plants, and so much more. And as we venture into this podcast of This Is Our Earth, it's like, wow, what else is available for us with the entire planet, with animals, plants, our bodies, and so much more. So I am delighted to have Monica with us today. And as I was contemplating what question, I get that maybe that, like, what is it that when you look at the earth or when you be with the earth, if you can invite us to anything?
I mean, the huge thing is like gratitude for it. That's this amazing fertilizer. It's something that nourishes and feeds the entire world, just like it would feed you to receive gratitude for you. It can feed the entire earth to shower our gratitude upon it. And so, as you mentioned, I like to play with plants a lot. And it's just so exciting to me how they are so resilient and will grow in little cracks or on walls, and that each place that they find root, that they are a contribution, that they're changing the landscape in all sorts of ways. They're changing the energetic landscape. They're changing, when we pass by a plant, there may be more oxygen there, or we can just have a moment of like, oh, that's so beautiful, and it just can brighten our days. And so it's so exciting to me to be able to be on this planet where there is so much life growing right all around us, and that we get to be a part of that and enjoy that, and both that our joy feeds it and that it feeds us to bring us more joy, and then we feed it, and then it grows, and then this back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, that is this interconnected web of contribution in all directions. And when we tap into that, it's quite interesting and exciting.
And it really is. And there's, you can't see her face, but you can probably almost feel it. But there's this smile and exuberance as you speak about what it is that you know and that you see and perceive and receive and all of that. And yet I know there's so many people on the planet walking, not noticing those little plants, that live, like the living organism of it all.
That brings me to a story. So I was walking down the street one day years ago in Seattle, and I saw growing out of a crack in the sidewalk a tomato plant. And it was the tiniest crack. It was obvious. Like the moment I saw it, I was like, oh, somebody sat there and ate a sandwich and their tomato seed fell, because there is no way that anybody could have planted it there. And I got so excited. I stopped this person next to me, and people in Seattle don't usually talk to each other on the street. And I was like, oh my God, do you know what plant that is? And they kind of looked at me like I was crazy and said no. And I was like, it's a tomato plant. Isn't that amazing? I mean, can you just tell what happened there? It was great. And then, they kind of looked at me like I was crazy and then walked on. And then I was so amazed. It's like, I know that person had eaten a tomato,
wow,
but they didn't know what a tomato plant was. And it's like, wow, how many of us don't don't know what the plants that we're eating, that we're benefiting from, look like. And these ways that we're separated from that which is nourishing us in this really tangible, literal, physical way, you know? And so I started to dream up this thing about like really teaching people how to harvest. There are ways that you can work with the plant, whether it's pruning or harvesting it, that can actually make it stronger. And I love that like as we take care of something, it becomes more able to take care of us, you know?
And I've noticed that even with, I mean, I love having plants, in my home and flowers. Even when I travel, I'll get them at the hotel room or even when I'm somewhere for 24 hours, because there is an energy they contribute. And I've, at first it was like, oh, what a waste of money to have something like that. But it's like, no, it really isn't about the money. It's that generative energy that they be. And, something that you shared in this Facebook Live that you did recently, it was really this sense of that you say hello and they respond. And so when I'm looking at like, wow, this is our earth. If we're actually going to create or have a sustainable planet here to 500, 1,000 years from now, what is it that is possible that if more people knew would add and create that?
Well, it's quite fun and easy if you do go up to the plants and just actually say hello. You don't have to move your lips in case other people are looking, or you can, and then other people might give you some space, whatever you'd like. But it's like you go and you engage with the plant and you just allow your own curiosity, your own presence to allow you to kind of drink in the plant, be aware of it. And then you can simply ask from that receiving of that plant, like you see the whole plant, you say, oh, is there anything that I can do or be for you? And you just ask that and then you relax, you let it go. You don't have to figure it out and do the right thing. And you may become aware of something, or it may even just be that you care, that can actually contribute to the plant. And the amazing thing is that, these plants that are so easy to pass by, they actually are part of what is making this planet possible for us to live on. The ways that they work with the climate, with, the carbon emissions and pulling carbon back into the ground. There's so much interesting scientific stuff if you want to go down that road. But your contributing to the plants allows them to contribute to other animals, to other plants, and to the future.
Wow, it's like we've been talking about oneness in so many different platforms, right? And modalities. But it's like you actually, that's what you're saying, that there is so much available that perhaps we haven't tapped into where we can gift and receive. Because there's things we do with infants, right? You're smiling, Google at them, they're not speaking, but you get some response. You do it with animals and you can kind of sense their bodies and what shifts when you're interacting with a dog or a horse, and yet with plants, somehow we've excluded them because they don't give us a smile, a wink, or right. But I wonder what other sense we have that we can start to tap into.
And you might be amazed. They may bloom for you. They won't wink, but they'll flower.
Wow.
Or they won't, laugh, but they'll stand up taller and their colors will be more vibrant. And I have a bunch of stories of this. Many other people that I talk to, when they actually engage with their plants thrive. And their crops, the yield of their crops doubles. And, so it's just a slightly different speed.
Yes.
But it's there and it's available. You can do this, walking down the street. You don't have to own the land for you to contribute to it, And it's really exciting for me to think about, like, what if what if there were more people talking to the plants? What would our cities be like? What would our gardens be like? What can we nurture and nourish? And then how much fun to get to be a part of a thriving world, you know?
And that the willingness to be quote unquote crazy, but maybe it's the new normal or the different normal that we're actually stepping into, that we have in these times been invited to see that the earth will continue to generate itself, flourish, and maybe we can actually contribute to something greater as we start to move around more and more, hopefully, every day. And yet, yeah, what contribution can we be to the planet and the plants? Well, I kind of started backwards, but is there anything you want to say about, who you are, what you do out in the world? Because you've been creating some things with this topic.
Yeah. I have begun to create some classes on talking to the plants. And I have a class coming up on December 11th, and then more and more. And ultimately, I'm really excited to see who else is interested, who else is out there that knows. Each of us knows so many different things, and part of talking to plants is just beginning that conversation. And each of us has a totally different conversation. And so if we can come together, what can we discover with each other as well about all sorts of different, funny, nerdy plant jokes? I was telling this plant this thing the other day, and it told me this or whatever. So those things are kind of on the immediate horizon and growing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, my background is as an acupuncturist and a performer. But when I started to do a lot of work with Chinese herbs, I was so excited about how, again, these plants, they feed our bodies. They heal us just by being what they are, and how amazing that this world is so rich with this nourishment, so that enthusiasm about the benefit that plants are to us has been driving me for a long time. And I'm curious what else is on the horizon.
And really, as we move forward, that curiosity, I get, is what we require more and more. Like, it's time for us to ask new questions, venture into new, I don't know, what to call it, but spaces, and that perhaps we never questioned before. But I know that you've already impacted me. When I heard you speak, I've already had a sense of perceiving, plants and different things, but I never actually considered the dialogue and to receive from them and to be able to ask questions and begin to have, like, receive information from them. Would you say something a little about that?
Totally. I mean, the thing is that, the way that each of us, our consciousness works is not anything that we could ever begin to define. And it's so different from person to person. And when you engage with the world around you, there is the consciousness of the world around you that is engaging right back with you. And your own willingness to just relax and not have to understand it before you'll let the information come in starts to open up so much information. You get so much stimulus from everything, and a lot of it can be subtle, like it may be with plants, but the more you let yourself play with that, the more you discover. So for me, when I first started playing around with plants there was a woman that I was working for who talked to me a lot about nature spirits. And I was like, what is this? I've never heard about this. And is this real or is this fairy tale? It sounds fun, but I don't know. And then she asked me to go into her garden and to trim some ivy. And I was, much younger. And I was like, oh no, I've never been in ivy and I haven't been cut. But you're telling me there are these nature spirits. Are they going to be mad or, what's going on? So I went out into the yard and I was like, okay, everything that's here, that is conscious, that is working with this garden, can you please just let me know? I have this job. I have these shears. I'm going to start cutting. If anything would like to not be cut, let me know. And if anything would like to be cut, because I know that sometimes it can actually help, let me know. And so then I just started going, and then just every once in a while, my hands would just stop. And I knew they weren't stopping like I couldn't push my hands together. It was just enough of a hesitation that I would stop. And I'd say, okay, I asked, so I have to be willing to let that information come in. And every time my hand stopped, I was like about to cut through a little plant that was a different plant that was hidden under the ivy. Or at one point I was about to cut through the watering system and other things,
Wow.
And so that was the first moment for me where I was like, oh, I asked. And then I got information.
And the key word there, you also, you were willing to receive.
Yeah.
That willing to, you asked and now willing to receive and follow that.
And I totally was like, I might be a little bit crazy, but who cares?
And that's the other part though, the crazy part, because I hear people and I hear myself sometimes like, well, it's a little crazy. It's like, what if that wasn't crazy anymore?
Right.
Like, what if that was something from way back when?
Right.
And we can actually invite ourselves to start to have these conversations that have been different, and the willingness to be different in our knowing and voice what it is that we know. And that's, thank you, Monica, because I really got to witness that the other day. And I was mentioning it to you. It's like, wow, I'll have some of that. There are things that all of us know. And if we truly, are going to have this sustainable earth, like this is our planet, we get to say how it goes. So I hope, that this has contributed to all the listeners. Thank you for joining us on this venture with this podcast. And is there anything else you'd like to wrap up with?
I'm so grateful for all of the people in the world right now who are engaging with the world, this beautiful planet. And I love to invite everybody to go out and talk to a plant and just see what that is like in your body, just to stand next to it. What do you notice? Does that add to your day? And maybe do it over and over and over and over again. And walk through the world and talk to all of them, and see what that creates.
I love it. And see what it creates in your body and in your day. It's like, hey, if it makes you smile, maybe, hey, being seen different, crazy, whatever, it's not a wrongness. So thank you so much, Monica.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure.
Thank you.
And for all of you, catch our next episode. And this is Our Planet. Thank you for listening to this show. My target is to inspire new actions and conversations that empower us all to know that we are the ones creating the future. If you'd like a way to contribute to our podcast, please leave a review wherever you listen. And for information about El Lugar, visit l-lugar.com. Thank you.